I was able to go live and really kind of do this crazy long version of Q&A, and my clients, I can tell you, have been bringing in the heat. So I asked them yesterday if there was a couple questions that they had regarding hormones, nutrition, or lifting, and boy, I can tell you they came in hot. I've been researching for over 2 hours today just to find and make sure that I had accurate information, reading some studies, and bringing you the best value possible. So I'm super excited to be here with you. I just went live on Instagram as well. So make sure, friends, if you are catching a live, make sure to hashtag I'm here. And if you're catching a replay, make sure to hashtag replay so I know who's who in the zoo. Hello, my beautiful Facebook user. I unfortunately, because I'm streaming on multiple platforms, so I can always go in and see here. I don't even know, honestly. I will come in and tech with you live, but thank you so much for being here. So we have 5 questions today, and they are big ones. Number 1 is does sleep quality and quantity affect hormones, and how do they impact sleep? Number 2 is, do menstrual cycles, premenopause, which is actually perimenopause, impact what we require in order to keep things balanced? Number 3 was inflammatory foods. Do they apply to just sensitivities? Are there things that affect everybody in the sun? And what causes the most common cases of inflammation? Bloating. Number 4 is definitely a heavy one. What's the difference between, multivitamins, individual vitamins, and blended supplements? Are any of them overrated? So this is like a really hot topic. And last but not least, we're going to get into some fitness nitty-gritty with what's more important, doing more reps, doing more weight. How do we know that we've actually reached progressive overload? So we're going to break all of those down for you. It's going to take us about 30 minutes total. So hop in and out as you can. I'm watching the comments as they come in, as you can see right here, which is really cool. I love to see it. Yeah, we had to move the live a little bit later today. I'm assuming that's Rebecca. I moved it a little bit later because I was delayed on research, guys. Holy crap. Pulling up NHS studies and whatever else to make sure that I had accurate information for you. So let's dive in to the nitty gritty. Does sleep quality and quantity affect hormones? Do hormones impact sleep? All right, this is a really intense question. We're going to spend a few minutes kind of breaking that down. I'm glad I have Brooke and Rebecca here, my 2 girls. So the reason why I'm doing today's live publicly on my Facebook page, as well as my client group, is because I want to give you guys like a little bit of a behind the scenes view as to what my clients get access to and the kind of really intelligent questions that they're asking so that we can keep providing really big value. So while we are here, I want to talk about the hormones that affect sleep, right? Sleep is one of the most detrimental, instrumental, important things for hormone production, right? Some of your body's hormones can impact sleep quality, but there's 5 big ones that can improve your sleep quality for better or for worse. So we're going to break it down. I have a buttload of notes, like buttloads in front of me. We're also going to discuss how these 5 hormones kind of affect you for sleep, and as well for any of my pregnant friends in here, why you have insomnia, like I do, okay? We're going to go into a little bit of that. The first one is called melatonin, right? Melatonin is often referred to as the sleep hormone, which is why a lot of people take melatonin supplements to be able to sleep. However, for somebody like me, I can't take them because they leave me groggy, like super sleepy for days on end. So melatonin is responsible mostly for promoting healthy rest and regulating your body's circadian rhythm, okay? While most of the hormones are produced in your brain's pituitary gland, melatonin is actually produced in the pineal gland, which is associated with our sleep and wake cycles. When we don't get good rest, we have poor quality sleep disruptions. It can negatively, poorly impact our melatonin production. And that's why getting a good night's sleep is important for our overall health and well-being, but it's also really important to help us manage that melatonin production, okay? I read mostly the studies I was reading were in the US. Okay, so most Americans don't get enough quality sleep. And like I said, a lot of them have to take a melatonin supplement. So this is just kind of a small example. It's your sleepy hormone. It's important, right? There's two main ones that are a part of our sleep and wake cycle. We'll come back to the other one. There are two hormones that are best known for their roles specifically with women's reproductive health, but both men and women have them, and they're both really important. They're called progesterone and estrogen. Estrogen is mostly the female sex hormone, and it controls our menstrual cycle. Okay, there's three types of estrogen, which are estradiol, estriol, and estrone. These three forms of estrogen are produced at different times in women's lives, and they'll change based on childbearing age, pregnancy, and menopause. Okay. Progesterone helps maintain pregnancy, and it also has the highest levels that we see during that time. Progesterone and estrogen levels will fluctuate during these different phases, but they also influence our sleep quality. Okay. This happens most frequently around our periods, pregnancy, and menopause. Most women report sleeping poorly during these times. Okay? A lot of us get major sleep issues during those times, especially if we're getting menstrual cramping, hot flashes, body pain, and it's normal and they're caused by hormonal fluctuations. Okay. This is why women have such a harder time sleeping typically than men do. This is not true for all cases, but it's a large portion. Similar to progesterone and estrogen, testosterone is produced in every single body. I cannot speak today. In every single body. It's not just the male sex hormone, it is both in men and women. But testosterone works to support reproductive health and bone health. So our testosterone levels will fluctuate during the day, and they're at our highest during rapid eye movement, REM sleep. If you're not getting enough REM sleep, aka really deep sleep, it can affect your body's testosterone levels, and having them reduced can be linked to snoring, insomnia, and it can also create a vicious cycle of reduced testosterone levels and poor sleep. Does that make sense to you guys? Okay, let's pop up here. So what's better for sleep, magnesium or melatonin? Honestly, that's a whole side comment we're going to get in there, which is really good. I'm glad English is hard for you today too. For sleep, personally, and based off of a lot of anecdotes from my clients, magnesium is a better supplement to take as it will also help you with a lot of other things. Melatonin is very rarely used by my clients because they don't typically need it. So when we focus on supplementing with a magnesium instead, we help with restless leg, we help with cramping muscles, we help with recovery, we help with sleep, etc. And magnesium does have a melatonin effect on the body. So that's why it's typically suggested to take it in the evening. It'll make you sleepy. Okay. Now, our fifth hormone is cortisol, aka the stress hormone, right? But the stress hormone is not actually cortisol's main response. Cortisol is actually really key to maintaining sleep patterns. It's the thing that wakes you up. So when you wake up, cortisol spikes in the morning. And it's what helps you feel like the refreshed, beautiful feeling that you get when you get in the morning. But as you approach your bedtime, cortisol levels reduce and melatonin increases. Okay. Elevated cortisol levels, though, caused from stress, can impact our sleep. And they're mostly caused by stress and electronics, both of which suppress our body's sleepy hormone production. Okay. That's the bottom line. We got to keep them at bay. So, a quick side note for women that are pregnant that have insomnia, the reason is this: progesterone and estrogen levels don't drop. Instead, they go really, really, really high to help the body carry the baby. Okay, this helps your immune system relax the uterus muscle so it can grow, because sometimes it grows up to 1,000 times bigger than its original size. And this is why women feel really sleepy They nap really frequently in their first trimester, and it's completely normal. But pregnant women are supposed to sleep more, especially in the early stages of pregnancy. Okay. And by the third trimester, these hormones typically level out, but other symptoms can interfere with sleep as we end the near the end of pregnancy. Pressure on the bladder, circulatory issues, swelling, things like this can disrupt our ability to fall or stay asleep. Hi, I'm in that camp. I'm fixing it right now. If you look at my Apple Health, my goodness, 2 weeks ago, 3 hours and 47 minutes was my average sleep. It was disgusting. I think we're up to like 6.5 right now, which is way better. All right, so I did a little bit of research on a sleep study, and actually, according to the National Sleep Foundation, American adults were sleeping 6 hours 40 minutes in 2008 compared to 8 hours 30 minutes in 1960. So on average, even 16 years ago, we're getting about 2 hours less of sleep. Okay. Now, in conclusion, with all of this stuff, there's evidence to suggest that various hormones and metabolic processes affect sleep quality and circadian rhythms when you sleep and when you wake up naturally. These interactions are mediated by our clock genes. Hormones such as growth hormone, melatonin, cortisol, leptin and ghrelin. Leptin and ghrelin are our fullness and hunger hormones, are closely associated with our circadian rhythm and our ability to digest glucose and lipids, meaning sugars and fats. Okay. Sleep disturbances are associated with an increased risk of fat mass gain, diabetes, and insulin insensitivity. Okay. The fullness and hunger hormones kind of get a little bit out of whack, and this can also negatively impact our human health. So, in short, you want to get good sleep so that you have a better functioning body, better fat and glucose metabolism, and just overall get your freaking sleep if you can. Okay. That is the bottom line. Hormones are deeply affected. I think that that's pretty clear by this point. Okay. Just wanted to triple check that we weren't missing any of the comments coming in. Okay. Question number 2 was, do menstrual cycles, perimenopause, which is the 8 to 10 years before menopause, and menopause impact what we require in order to keep things balanced? This was a really heavy question, so I did my best, and it's not a clear-cut answer, okay? There are like 6 main things that are going to pop up, period, and sorry, pop up, period, as in we're going to be talking about menstruation. Anyways, I'm losing it. Okay, and if you're wondering why I am winded, I am 9 months pregnant, and being animated takes a lot out of you. So let's keep this going. So let's first start with what our menstrual cycles are. Okay, there are 4 main phases of a woman's menstrual cycle. So we're gonna just share here. Let's make this guy bigger. Okay, that doesn't look good. Hang on, we're gonna minimize. We're gonna do this one. There we go. So you can see above my head here that we have a nice little graph showing different phases of a woman's cycle, okay? What does that mean? That means that our hormones will definitely influence our emotions and behavior throughout our monthly cycle. In particular, the 3 main phases: follicular, ovulatory, and luteal, okay? A lot of experts say that estrogen, progesterone, serotonin, and cortisol levels play the biggest roles in our emotions and physical health. Poor lifestyle habits are shown to make those symptoms worse. Okay. For mild premenstrual symptoms, we want to make sure we're getting more sleep, sticking to a healthy diet, and engaging in some form of physical exercise. Okay. So let's break these down really quickly. Follicular is like the feel good. Okay. It's the feel good phase of a menstrual cycle. It starts on the first day your period, the first day of your period, and lasts for about 10 to 14 days. During this phase, your body secretes follicle stimulating hormone called FSH. While it doesn't have a big say in your behavior, it does play a role. It stimulates the production of follicles in the ovaries that contain eggs. Basically, Brain Sciences, which is a really cool magazine, found out that women were more likely to have a feel-good feeling or positive emotions during the later portion of this than men. So with all these happy feelings flowing, it's easy to see why the follicular phase is our best one. Second phase is the ovulation phase, or, the frisky phase. So during ovulation, our estrogen levels peak, and that when those levels get high enough, your body releases luteinizing hormone, LH. That's around day 13 or 14 of your cycle, okay? It tells your ovaries to release an egg. And of course, you know how sexual health works. But with the high estrogen levels, okay, a lot of women report at least feelings of happiness, feeling sexy, desirable, attractive, hence the frisky phase. Testosterone also rises around this phase, and it's also linked to improved mood and energy, okay? Which adds to that whole sexy and desirability thing, all right? It's a biological basis to encourage us to cheeky in order for, reproduction. Gosh. Anyways, the third phase is the shit box, the feeling crappy. It's called the luteal phase. So after your eggs are out of you, ladies, the follicles are left behind and progesterone goes up. And that basically tells the uterus that it's either going to accept or reject. And it can help initially to improve sleep, lower anxiety, but it also creates bloating, constipation, fatigue, and fluid retention. So you might also find yourself craving junk food, less nutritional stuff, And once that egg is not fertilized, your progesterone drops. And at this point, estradiol, progesterone, and testosterone are at their lowest. And you'll get the cramping, nasty PMS symptoms. Cramping, acne, tenderness in the boobs, headaches, all of that fun stuff that comes with this, okay? Now, what we want to talk about is the 3 phases of normal menstrual cycles. There's also, once you hit a certain age, there's something called perimenopause. Perimenopause is about 8 to 10 years before you start menopause. It typically starts in your mid-40s, but it can come on earlier. If it comes on before 40, it's called premature menopause, okay? Now, there's no surgical or medical cause for premature stuff. It could be a primary ovarian insufficiency. There's lots of different reasons for it. Now, it typically lasts about 4 years. This is the stage right before menopause, okay? Some people only fall into this for a few months, while others will have the full 4 years. If you've gone more than 12 months without having a period, you are no longer in perimenopause. You are menopausal. Now, the hormone changes that happen during this time are mostly caused by declining estrogen, okay? Your ovaries are what make I cannot talk to save my life today. Your ovaries make estrogen, right? Which is really vital in the reproductive system, right? So when you enter perimenopause, that starts to decrease. As that decreases, it throws off our balances with the other hormones like progesterone, okay? And these two together are responsible for our ovulation menstruation dance, okay? And it's normal for these to fluctuate, and it's kind of like a roller coaster. So when you reach menopause, your body will make so little estrogen that your body doesn't release any eggs, and you stop having that beautiful menstruation, okay? However, there's lots of things that you can do to help with the symptoms that you might feel with the hot flashes, the temperamental roller coaster that happens with hormone fluctuations. Bottom line is this is all going to be indicated for all 3 sections, okay? But we want to be eating a diet full of fruits and vegetables, whole grains, lean proteins, and fats. We want to perform weight-bearing exercises, okay? Weight-bearing, meaning actual exercise. The difference between activity and exercise is this. Activity is movement for fun. Exercise is movement with a purpose. So weight-bearing exercises could be like hiking with a backpack, strength training, incline walks, things like this. We want to improve our sleep hygiene by turning off screens, doing relaxed stuff before bed to improve our sleep quality. We want to do the limiting of alcohol and caffeine. I know, I'm sorry to say it. Caffeine is my brain juice, and minimum of 2 cups a day over here. We can also practice meditation or stress management techniques. A big one is to quit smoking. And if weight loss is indicated, meaning that you need to be in a healthy range, having reduced weight will also help reduce hot flashes, night sweats, and help improve your overall energy level. Okay. If that's a struggle, come talk to me. Now, long story short, for menopause, these are the big ones. Okay. These are the big heavy hitters. For menopause, I just opened the link I saved. I'm going to share my screen again if I can do that. Hang on a second here. Okay. Share a screen, a window. Here we go. Share. Okay. I just want to make sure that you guys can see this and go here. So that doesn't look very big at all. Let's maximize this and go from there. Basically, within menopause, everything fluctuates and your estrogen and progesterone come to a very low level. Okay. Your progesterone stops completely when it comes and hits menopause. And when it comes to testosterone, okay, these also slow down. So what happens at midlife? High levels of estrogen can result in heavy bloating, breast tenderness. It can also, we're in the estrogen department here. Low levels can also result in hot flashes, night sweats, palpitations, headaches, insomnia, fatigue, bone loss, lady part dryness. Having low amounts of estrogen or progesterone can cause periods to become irregular, heavier, or longer during perimenopause. And the effects of testosterone decline are uncertain. So these are all really good things to keep in mind. Bottom line, what I'm getting at is to answer the initial question, how does it impact our hormones? Well, it's a very complicated dance, but the thing required is the same main 6 that you see across the board to keep things balanced. Improve sleep quality, stress management, water and food intake being high, resistance training and strength work, low impact steps and lists, low intensity steady state training, and just pure water intake, period, is a way to help keep you balanced. And these are all the factors that we look into whenever we address people that are having a hard time losing weight for PCOS, endometriosis, hypothyroidism, menopause issues, etc. Okay, these are the things that I look at as a professional to read what your body's telling us and help us implement solutions. So that was a really complicated one. The rest are a lot easier. I promise, a lot easier. The inflammatory foods one is really fun. So inflammatory foods, okay, does this just apply to sensitivities? Are there foods that will affect everyone or cause things like inflammation or bloating? So this one's fun. This one's fun. So when it comes to this portion, inflammation, I want to back up. Inflammation in the body is your body's natural reaction to anything that's potentially harmful, like an injury or an infection. When your body detects a possible threat, it's going to send inflammatory cells, okay? If you want to get sciencey, they're called cytokines or first responders. And it's part of our body's natural defense and healing system, okay? Certain foods will trigger inflammation in certain people under certain circumstances, AKA it depends. In particular, when someone has a food allergy, like gluten, AKA people with celiac disease, their immune system says gluten is a potential foreigner. And so it'll release the immune system with antibodies and cytokines, which attack and damage that person's small intestine, which is why they cannot have gluten. It physically hurts. Okay. Now, is inflammation a good thing or a bad thing? Is kind of the perspective I wanted to take here. Some inflammation is actually good for you. It's like your body's early warning system. Okay? It helps protect you from that injury or infection. On the other hand, too much inflammation like overreacting to something unharmful, such as dust, or chronic inflammation are both not great for you, okay? Chronic inflammation is the long-term chronic state of inflammation of your body being on alert. So it's also called the pro-inflammatory state. Okay, does this all make sense? If you guys are still with me here, let me know in the chat. Is this something that makes sense to you? Okay. So foods that are most common in people without food allergies, okay? So that's people that do not have food allergies, but may receive inflammation in these people are gluten, alcohol, artificial trans fats, red meats, organ meats, and processed meats. So examples would be red meat or like liver or like deli meat, okay? Refined carbs, white flour, white rice, sugars, candy, desserts, that kind of thing. Okay, those are the 5 big ones that you'll see that cause inflammation in people's bodies that do not have food allergies, okay? Research has focused that foods combination to inflammation, okay, such as cardiovascular disease and diabetes, have an effect. People with pro-inflammatory diets who consume, say, like more alcohol, higher trans fats, lots of red meat, lots of really refined carbs, also typically have unhealthy cholesterol levels and are at a higher risk of developing cardiovascular disease, okay? So basically, consuming more than the recommended 1 to 2 alcoholic beverages daily can cause inflammation to your intestine. Don't get me started on the hormone aspect of that. The hormone aspect is a mess. Your liver is designed to flush out excess hormones, and having alcohol, which it focuses on digesting, can actually send those hormones that were supposed to be flushed out recirculating back through your body, which is why you're typically bloated, feel like shit the next day, and just let's just not go. Okay. Now, people who have intestinal inflammation may be at the root of many disorders with things like non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, neurological diseases, GI cancers, or inflammatory bowel syndrome, IBS. Okay? Bottom line here to answer you is that yes, inflammatory foods do affect you. They will affect every body and everybody differently. And what we want to focus on is finding what those unique ones are for you. So different ways that we can do that, especially because this is my client that asked this, we can look at things like an elimination diet to find out what exactly your food triggers are. If you don't have any specific allergies, that's a good option. If you have a thinking or a feeling that you might have celiac, that's the route that you have to pursue with the doctor, right? So there's different things depending on each case. Come talk to me. Question number 4 is a lot faster. What's the benefit between either a multivitamin, individual vitamins, and is anything overrated? Okay, let's get into this one. The benefits of multivitamin supplements. So a multivitamin is like Centrum 21, your Fred Flintstone ones, whatever they are, okay? It means that there's multiple vitamins inside one pill. This one can be added to a nutrient baseline. So you might lack key nutrients based on your daily diet, your lifestyle, etc. So taking a multi can fill in those gaps, which allows you to at least function at a decent level, okay? It's also worth noting that taking a multi can be best represented how we acquire nutrients through the foods we eat, okay? A multi can be important for individuals that have dietary restrictions, intolerances. When you have food intolerances, you can't eat all the foods, right? So it'll help you fill in the gaps of those kind of daily nutrition that you need or nutrients that you need. The good thing about multis is that they offer simplicity, okay? You just take 1 or 2 a day and boom. For a lot of people, a multi will keeping track of multiple capsules of like individual vitamins is complex. A lot of us don't have the mental capacity or the time to say, oh, did I take my D3 today? Okay. Instead of taking all these different vitamins or taking a freaking pill organizer, it isn't practical for them. So a multi can be a simple way or a convenient way to help make sure that you get at least some baseline nutrients, okay? You want to be focusing on all balanced formulas and making sure that it's the appropriate supplement for you. There are different needs for pregnant women, men, over 50 men, etc. Okay. So because multivitamins are formulated for individuals with different needs, no multivitamin can be one size fits all. So you must make sure that you're getting the right one. Okay. You wouldn't tell, I don't know, a 47-year-old male to take a prenatal supplement. It doesn't make sense, right? When it comes to individual supplements and minerals, um, this is where we kind of get a little bit tricky. Multivitamin formulas provide us with the baseline for nutritional support, and it's a great place to start. However, you might discover that you might be lacking in certain things. So, for example, if you're deficient in a certain vitamin or mineral, for example, people who don't spend a lot of time outdoors, or a lot of us that live up north, we are more susceptible to vitamin D deficiency. So you can supplement that if you're feeling like a lot of the SAD aspects. SAD is seasonal affective disorder. So a lot of people that start feeling sad around January, February, March, this is a good indicator. This is why we all feel so good in spring, is because there's a lot more sun and we're spending more time outside. So if you find yourself suspecting or confirmed deficient in a specific vitamin or mineral, okay, you might have an increased need due to your lifestyle or health factors. So that baseline multivitamin might not be quite sufficient for you when it comes to your individual needs. So for example, if you are a vegetarian or vegan, you must supplement with a B12 supplement. Even if you're taking a multivitamin, it's a good idea to isolate and take a B12 supplement. If you're somebody like me that is chronically low in iron or magnesium, I supplement those extra. I also supplement extra D3 because I find it makes a big impact in my overall outlook and my overall health. Okay. Some people, when they're sick, they'll want to take more vitamin C, or they'll want to take zinc. Things like these can help in conjunction with multivitamins. Okay. So bottom line, what I'm getting at is you want to make sure that you're timing them correctly. When they're taking it in higher amounts, make sure that you're having them with food if indicated, like a probiotic, or, if you're going to take vitamins, I suggest having like at least a little bit of food beforehand. Otherwise, I don't know about you, but I feel sick, so sick if I take vitamins on an empty stomach. So if I have to have them a little bit before my thyroid supplement, like my thyroid pill, I will have a banana because it's the only way that I can stomach it. So bottom line, what is better? The answer depends on what your specific needs are. Unfortunately, I don't have a clear-cut yes, no answer for this one. It's always good to consult blood work and your doctor if you're not sure. Okay, you can also come talk to your coaches for ideas. Remember that we are not doctors, but we can suggest things. Okay, and in general, taking a multi is more of a holistic approach and kind of just fills in the gaps and is like a baseline. This can also be said with the berry supplements, because that was another part of the question. So a lot of people will take their greens and reds powders instead of a multi. That's just a personal preference and what your body responds better to. Okay. And there's going to be a lot of debate no matter what. But as long as you continue to supplement and refine your diet and supplement needs, you're going to be able to identify what works best for you. And if you need a little bit of help, being that you're my client, okay? Now, this is the fun one. This one is what's more important, doing more reps or adding more weight? The answer is neither. What? The answer is neither. Neither is more important. So how do you know when you've reached progressive overload? We're going to break this question down like mad. You will never fully reach progressive overload if you're doing progressive overload properly. Let me break that down. So in the fitness world, there is something that is being touted across all the reels, all of the Instagrams, the TikToks, the YouTube shorts. If you want to get bigger muscles, you have to be in progressive overload. Well, you might be sitting there going, what the heck is progressive overload? So allow me to fill you in. Progressive overload is when you gradually increase weight frequency, or number of repetitions in a strength training routine. So it's not just about increasing the weight. Those are the three aspects that they give: weight, frequency, and number of reps. Now, if you're following a specific or properly designed program, your reps and your sets are going to vary. If you are constantly doing 3 sets of 10 to 12, you are permanently doing hypertrophy, building muscle. However, 3 sets of 10 to 12 might not be enough for you. Maybe you need 4 sets of 8. Maybe for an accessory lift, you should be doing 3 sets of 25. So this is where coaches and properly laid out programs come into play, okay? What we're getting at here is the general rule of thumb is this: lower repetitions with heavier weight will focus on increased muscle mass and brute strength gain, which is called absolute strength, okay? The other focus is high repetitions with lower weight increases muscle endurance, okay? There are 2 types of muscle fibers, type 1 and type 2. Now, we're not going to get into that today because that is a whole other can of worms. However, your type 2 muscle fibers and type 1 muscle fibers are fast twitch, slow twitch, which basically means one will get stimulated with one style of training and the other gets stimulated with another. Every person is going to be dominant in one of those two, but you can train to have balance in both. Okay, a good example of this is somebody like me. I am much stronger than I am with endurance. I can pick up heavy shit and put it down, but don't ask me to run. Literally, I'm dying after like 5 kilometers, okay? Otherwise, you've got people that are much more inclined and beneficial to endurance exercise than brute strength, okay? That means that person is dominant in one of those types of muscle fibers. I'm getting off track here. However, like I was saying, you don't have to rely on one type specifically, and alternating between the two is most important, which is why it's important to have periodized proper programming based on your goals, okay? Now, to answer the portion of the question of what is more important, the answer is neither, because both are equally as important, okay? Now, the ways that you can actually implement different types of progressive overload instead of just focusing on weight could be implementing things like tempo training. Have you guys ever seen, like, in your workout programs that you usually buy online, you'll see somebody like the tempo is like this for a squat, something like this. It'll pop up like 3110, and you're like, what the heck are you referring to? Well, that is a form of tempo training that is teaching you how they want you to lift the weight. The first number is the going down portion of the exercise, aka the eccentric or the negative. So example, we're going to just use a squat. You're going to take 3 seconds to go down on your squat. The second number is a pause. So once you get into that squat, you're going to pause for 1 second. The third number is the ascent, so the going up portion. And that is how fast they want you to do it. So you go down for 3 seconds in your squat, hold it, shoot up for 1 second, and boom, go into your next rep. The fourth number is a pause at the top. Okay. In this case, there wouldn't be a pause at the top. So tempo training is good. And whenever you're dealing with progressive overload, you can look at playing with tempo to actually stimulate instead of increasing reps or weight. So 2 things to back up on here. A lot of people will focus on high volume, low volume. Volume is this. Volume equals reps times weight lifted. So volume equals reps times weight lifted. So if you did for 10 pounds, 10 repetitions, that's 100 pounds. Well, you did 3 sets of that, that's 300 pounds. However, if you did, say, 5 repetitions at 500 pounds, now we're dealing with 2,500 pounds for your volume. So volume is a great way to also play with this. However, we're going to go back into tempo here quickly. Talk to your coach, talk to your program, talk to your trainer about time under tension. If there's a reason I'm giving you something saying sit in this for 10 seconds, do this. The reason being is that we're stimulating different portions of a muscle's contraction. There are 3 muscle contractions. If we're using a bicep curl for an example, okay, the contraction here is the concentric, okay? This is where the muscle is the most squished together. If I hold it in that contracted phase, it's called an isometric, an iso hold, which can stimulate, I think it's 5 to 7% more growth than if you don't introduce this portion. And then the negative or the eccentric is the lowering, right? So playing with tempo has a lot of benefits. So if you find yourself running out of extra weights at home, you can slow things down, okay? Tempo training is basically going to have you lifting slower and more intentionally, and you're going to build a better mind-muscle connection. You're going to develop better mental toughness because you have to talk yourself through it if it's really heavy, and point blank, just better strength, okay? It will help you improve your quality of muscle and movement control. So if you're a seasoned athlete, a beginner, regardless, it's going to help you avoid injury and improve strength. So slow things down, focus on form. When people say focus on form, this is another way of saying tempo train, okay? When you rush through movements, you're not going to pay attention to several like cues or key points. So like example, if you're going into a squat, you might not focus on if you're hinging at the hips. You're not going to focus if your chest is up. Maybe your butt's flying up too fast. All these things keep in the back of your mind. Tempo training or focusing on form will also help you address potential weaknesses, okay? Completing reps without awareness and control makes it easy to hit a plateau because we're not going to be able to see that we're weak in certain areas. For example, what if you have a hard time with a goblet or a front squat? A goblet squat is when you hold the dumbbell. A front squat is when you have the bar across or across, okay? Maybe you can do it, but it's hard for you to stay upright and you start falling forward. If you try and add more weight to that, you're going to end up having a magnified problem. So instead slowing down, having a focus on form, you can actually focus on addressing the mobility, getting your elbows higher, making sure your ankles have the ability to do it. All of these things bring a lot more mind-muscle connection and mental toughness, all right? Bottom line is that focusing on your form, slowing things down, and utilizing the tools around you, okay, are going to help you progress in your training and avoid plateaus. You should be doing these things because eventually when you run out of weights or you run out of tempo or you run out of, you run out of repetitions, you're going to eventually hit a plateau. So slowing things down, focusing on your form will stave that off much longer. As you become more advanced, it gets harder to add pounds to your lifts, and altering the speed at which you do things can spark new gains. So there we go. The question that was referred to is definitely the melatonin magnesium that we referred to earlier in the chat. So that is what I have for you guys today. It took me 45 minutes and over 2 hours of research for this one because I wanted to make sure that you had proper information. If you guys have follow-up questions, make sure to tag me so that I can see it. So just at Samantha Hart or at Simply Hart so that I can catch it. And I look forward to the next one. This is going to be a lot less busy. I think not a lot less busy, but a lot less lengthy. These are some really good questions. And the girl that asked most of these she got more for me. I know it. Kels, I'm throwing you under the bus. Anyways, it was an insomnia question from Nat. I don't see it personally. Let me see what's going on in the chat here. I don't see an insomnia question. I don't see it here. Okay, whoever tagged me in an insomnia question, just tag me in it so that I see it, and I'll go in and answer you personally. All right, guys? So I absolutely love seeing you guys. Thanks so much for being here, and Kels, keep coming in with those really hot questions. We'll see you guys next week. All my love, have a kick-ass rest of your weekend, and I look forward